mighty ocean. Your eyes see everything. The slightest of your motions can make the continents ring. Yet in all your might and glory, vanished from the skies, leaving just another story amidst millions of man-made lives. They tell of how you fell from the sky and you once proud beauty.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is ChristieCzajkowski, and that could be Christie Aphrodite. Is that right?
Yeah, Aphrodite, Aphrodite, whichever you prefer.
How about just Christie?
Christie is just perfect.
You know, Christie, I've often referred to myself as a canary in the coal mine. I said, because I'm so outspoken, they will try to do something to me first, and but if they try to do something to me, you can bet they'll be coming after you next if you're trying to speak out. And I want to make the audience aware you started speaking out. You got active. Tell me about what motivated your activity, and later we'll get into what they're doing to you right now, what they've done to you. But let's set the stage here. Let's set the stage.
You mean what initially got me involved in activism?
Yeah, well, with me it was Waco. I swore I would never sit back and watch something like that happen on TV without doing something or trying to do something. And that's what got me started.
It was, it wasn't anything I saw on the news or something. It was actually, I moved back to my hometown, San Diego, actually Chula Vista to be more specific, on the border, and it was just something that I walked into. I certainly wasn't looking to start trouble with anyone, but once I found myself engulfed in that situation, I couldn't help but act. So.
What was the situation? What happened in San Diego?
Well, it was kind of a snowball effect. I mean, I was a single mother, so I was really too busy to go, look for problems to solve. But they just kind of crept up in everything we did. I mean, first of all, finding a job was next to impossible, or finding a job that pays more than minimum wage. My children were in school at the time, and the fact that they were stuck in this school where nobody spoke English and they refused to teach my children Spanish, was pretty in your face. I used to volunteer in the schools previously, and we ended up being there, and I was not allowed to volunteer, although I was allowed to go once a week for their Friday assemblies and to sometimes read to them in the classroom. And so that's pretty much what did it. When I went to the first assembly and saw with my own eyes that they weren't even speaking English in the assemblies and that my child were clearly being left behind, it was kind of a snowball effect from there. So I started asking questions, and it really didn't take much time after that to become a domestic terrorist. I mean, literally, it was right away.
So this was nothing political. This was the environment your child was being put in school.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't start off with anything political. I mean, I just that, and then when I started finding out a little bit more what was going on, I just wanted to help. So when I found out about the migrants in the canyon, I'm not sure how much you know about that story, the sex trafficking ring I ended up exposing. It was just, I would sign up to go clean things, and then I would see that, and it's like, wow, after you see this, how can you not do anything?
Now, were the Spanish-speaking people in school, were those illegals?
Well, I'm sure most of them. They had buses to the border. So yeah, they changed. I remember one of the first times that my youngest baby got in trouble. It was on Constitution Day, but they told her it was called Citizenship Day, and yeah, argued with her about that. But I thought that was kind of ironic.
So, what were you doing in the community? I mean, you weren't doing talk radio then, were you?
No. Initially, okay, when I moved back there,
I'm really interested in this because I want my audience to understand how easily you can become a terrorist in this. And to me, right now, the war on terror is a war against anybody, anywhere in the world that doesn't want to go along with one world government and this whole integration, globalization bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you asking, and yeah, I definitely love to talk about the background leading up to this. But yeah, when I moved there, I had I was never really involved in anything political my whole life. I mean, I grew up in the Matrix, and I was just like every other good American. You vote for whoever you're told to based on, you know, how you grew up in your family, and that was really it. You didn't ask questions. When I moved there, I mean, like I said, I was a single mother. San Diego is quite expensive. I mean, it was a huge change from when I left. When I left in the early 90s, we lay tile and make $30 an hour. My rent was $425 an hour. By the time I got back, that same job, you were lucky to find $9 an hour. Rent was $2,000 a month. So obviously things were a little bit lopsided. Initially when I moved back there because I thought it would be nice to have somebody, you know, family close to my children so they could help help me with babysitting. And I ended up getting a job at a restaurant where I was serving and tending bar, enrolled myself back in school, and started a catering business. And I mean, even then I was just so busy, I still didn't really have time, like I said, to go look for trouble. It was just something that happened, a natural progression that started with the schools and then me asking questions. Honestly, it was really, I mean, I could either say it was one of the worst things that I've ever done or one of the best things that I've ever done, and I would say that it was about the best thing I've ever done because I never would have known what I know now, but it certainly was one of the worst and most unwelcoming things I had ever done. San Diego was my hometown, and I had found out that we weren't really allowed there anymore. I mean, I went to Chula Vista High School, and now they, you know, we had the wrong color skin. So my one little baby, who she just looked like a cute little Q-tip, you know, blonde hair, pink skin, and, you know, just sweet as an angel, but she would get beat up or kicked or punched all the time just because of the color of her skin. So now they were stuck in a school where nobody even spoke English, including the yard duty. So she had, like, I think there were 3 other people in her class that did speak English, and you know, one time they broke their arm, or she broke her arm, and the yard, you know, she couldn't even get any help, couldn't go to the nurse, couldn't go to the doctor because the yard duty didn't speak English, and you had to wait for her to try to figure out how to write the note so that she was allowed to actually go to the office and see the nurse so they could get something done. So it just happened like that. It was a snowball effect.
How old was your girl at the time?
Oh, you know what? We put up some videos when this happened. No more than 8 years old, okay. Maybe 7. So then what happened after that? I had met a few, well, not met, but reconnected with a few people that I knew from high school. And, you know, once again, I went to Chula Vista High School. I was always a minority. There was never any racism. Everybody all got along. We were all brothers and sisters. It was just one big happy family. So what I came back to was a real shock. I certainly wasn't expecting that. Anyways, after going through what we were going through, not being able to get a job because we don't speak the right language, my children not learning anything in school because we don't speak the right language, getting beat up going down the street because we're the wrong skin color, I think it was, I just happened to hear on the radio or news that I guess Simcox gave Bush an ultimatum, you build the fence or we will type thing. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. You know, somebody's going to do something about it. And so I honestly, and I just want to say my political views have changed since then. But at the time, I was thinking, well, darn, I really wanted an opportunity to serve my country. I felt that I had missed the boat, you know, that's what good Americans or patriots are supposed to do. Like I said, I was kind of involved in brainwashing, what I kind of are akin to cult-type views right now. But I just, you know, I felt like, wow, what a wonderful opportunity for me to go out and do some things. So I was a baker at the time, ended up finding out how to take work, I found out being able to take some work off, and went to, well, I forget where it was, Bisbee or something in 2005 or 2006 to go help what I thought we were going to do was build a fence, or at least that's what was advertised anyways. And then it just went out from there. We ended up not really building much of a fence, it being more of a political news media, you know, hey, look at me, and, you know, hold up a flag here, which, you know, that's a total other story in itself. But that's how it happened. So after that, I found out about something like that going on in Campo, went out there, and then it was after that where I finally met the Minutemen. I believe that was in July 2007 at some political speaker event in the, it was the Border Patrol Station in, not IB or San Ysidro, somewhere near IB or San Ysidro. Sorry, I can't remember.
Maybe Douglas?
No, this was back in San Diego.
Oh,
Brown
okay.
Field, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so some senators and such were speaking, and I thought it would be cool for me to go and find out what else was going on. So that was July 2007. And then it snowballed from there.
So, what the Chris Simcox tried to do something, he kind of faded into obscurity. The lady that took that over, she runs a restaurant in Tombstone, and I don't...
Well, she was doing everything from the start. Chris Simcox was a womanizer. He was using her for money and, you know, political
What was her name?
power and
what
such.
was her
But that's
name?
another story. Carmen.
Carmen, yes, okay.
Yeah, then he hooked up with Gilchrist, went out to D.C., met the Denier Corporation, and then, you know, married one of the girls that he had met while he was there, like, in 2 weeks, and, you know, then called Carmen, like, 2 or 3 weeks after the fact. So, yeah, that's a whole other story.
After Carmen took it over, it kind of went down. Now, where did your trouble begin? I mean, there was a lot of people that were involved with the Minutemen. There's a lot of people. I had Simcox on my show a number of times, and it was a good idea. Right now, I'm actually putting on an event in Tombstone, in Benson, in Cochise County, on behalf of the sheriff, who says he needs help with the same situation that you're discussing right now. This is what's happening in Cochise County.
Yeah.
So now that's kind of unique. You and I've been demonized for starting the militias, and they just don't tell you I did it in the governor's office. And I'm sure I'll be demonized for over this because they'll start calling the sheriff racist if he wants to do something about the immigration.
Absolutely. This is a problem, though, and this is what I learned being as close to, everyone that I was, because eventually it ended up encompassing pretty much my whole life, and I believe that they do not intend on doing anything about the issue. The, quote-unquote problem is being caused by the people that say that they allegedly want to, protect us. They're the ones causing the problems on the border, and I think that all of these things are political ploys to suck people in so that they can take them out, but it's not because they actually want to do something about it. I mean, come on, I was down there, people were getting shot at the border, nobody cares, you never hear about it on the news. The drug cartels that we're supposed to be afraid of are actually wearing ICE and Border Patrol uniforms. They're not, dealing with the sheriff.
Operation Fast and Furious. We got the BATF delivering guns and making sure that guns get across the border and get into the hands of the drug dealers. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's the total government op from the start. So, yeah, I don't know. I personally would not have anything to do with that situation ever again.
But you won't come and speak at my event. I got cowboys and I got bikers all coming together to talk about this. And there are a few radicals. At least there'll be one radical like me, or like some of the guests that I have on here, that'll be speaking right beside the sheriffs. We're not anti-government, and the sheriff is the strongest law enforcement officer, the legitimate law enforcement officer, in the county.
I don't believe that any sheriff can be in power without being quote unquote one of them or part of the Good Old Boy Network. Well, I believe that if they really wanted to make changes, they would be doing it now. They wouldn't need political rallies and events to, say, oh, I want to do this, or I'm going to do this. They would be doing it. End of story. So, yes, I'd be honored to speak, but I might not have anything. I mean, I might get demonized even more, because obviously it's a very passionate, subject we're talking about here. And given what I've learned, I probably won't have anything to say that many people like.
Well, but what you're saying is the truth. This is what happened. You were targeted because Absolutely. You were trying to do something about the illegal situation here.
Yeah, the problem is, though, the people who were doing all the targeting, they wanted me to believe that it was coming from, La Raza or the Mexican government. No, it came from our own government. It came from the people that supposedly were trying to do something about it on the border, like Chris M. Cox, Jim Gilchrist, Jeff Schwilk, all of these so-called Minutemen leaders. That's who it came from. Okay, these guys are all in bed with one another. They're taking all the frickin' money. Just with their donations alone with the Denier Corporation, every dollar you send to these pukes, they're only getting, they're getting less than 20 cents of it. Okay, it's a total political scam, and then both so-called sides, and obviously it's all controlled opposition, but both so-called sides of the debate are getting paid by the exact same people. So it's a scam. And the people who hurt me the most were the people that were supposedly on the side of the law. And they continue to go out and hurt other people, but that's, I guess I got too close, I learned too much.
Anytime, we know that in my book, Mystery Babylon, I documented the fact that the CIA was used, and they used the special forces to go down into Colombia to build radio towers to bring the drugs into this country. And the people, my informants who were doing life in Walpole prison, they were there, and they documented it. And I told, man, I sent this information. I sent off Catolo's document to Bill Clinton when he was running against George Bush.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about stopping any of this. It's about causing riots. It's about making people so fed up that, you know, everybody's, you know, beating each other up on the streets or beating up the, you know, the wrong people. Hardly anyone goes after the actual people in charge that are doing it. They get everybody caught up in yelling and screaming at each other on the street, thinking they're making a difference. They're begging, you know, these ridiculous politicians that aren't doing a damn thing and have no intention to do a damn thing.
It's a phrase from a song ran through my head. We've met Don Henley. We've met the enemy, and he is us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's,
So, I mean, like the sex trafficking rings, for instance. Okay, I stumbled across that when I volunteered to go do a cleanup crew in Rancho Penasquitos. All right, everybody knew what was going on. The cops, the sheriffs, ICE, the FBI, everybody did. The mayor, you know, and when first time after I interviewed one of the guys that lives down there, and this was only after Ana Garcia from NBC put up a report. She had sent an undercover to live there for 30 days with a camera in his shirt the whole time. So this was totally 100% documented. Well, then they go after Ana Garcia, and oh my gosh, she's racist. She needs to lose her job. The mayor, you know, we brought in evidence. I had videos. I had photos. Oh yeah, we're going to do something about it. You know, smile to our face. Then as soon as we walk out of the office, then they're scheming ways to bring us down. And that's when I turned into a racist, delusional prostitute, you know, building bomber, like all of these great child abuser, all of these crazy things that was going on. But they knew all of this was going on. But you know what? They were getting paid, so they weren't about to do anything about it. Everyone is involved. The city council, the congressman, I mean Duncan Hunter, Bob Filner, and I'm just talking about the people in San Diego, because that's where I was. But I met Brian Bilbray. I met and dealt with them directly. Mayor Sanders, who's of course, you know, I'm sure you've heard of Morris Cassuto. So these people are, that's their job. It's to cover it up. And when stupid little girls like me get in the way and end up having hard proof, like videos and photos, then, I mean, it blows my mind to think about just how low they will go to just shut up one little girl. But it wasn't just law enforcement, it wasn't just the politicians or just the media, it was also the quote-unquote Minutemen themselves, in cahoots, together. In fact, they get paid to go around and hurt people, commit crimes, and then blame it on people like me who have video evidence of things that are going on. That's the sad truth about it. So both sides, the pro-immigration, the anti-illegal immigrant, both sides are controlled and funded by the same people. It's a controlled opposition psyop, and that's what I learned firsthand.
You know, it's the same thing happened in the Patriot movement almost 20 years ago. You know, we had people like Bo Gritch standing up or giving speeches and being welcomed by the Patriot movement because he saved Randy Weaver. And I've tried to point out to people, well, wait a minute. You can also say, just as accurately say that he arrested Randy Weaver to keep the militia of Montana who were surrounding the FBI from hurting somebody.
Yeah.
So it's part of, and well, he says that he tells you in his own book he's a permanent member of the counterintelligence group.
Yeah.
So you got the people that are on one hand saying, "Come on, we need to prepare. We need Spike. We need this. Come on, join us, join Spike, and we'll teach you how to go out there and kill people, too."
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, I don't believe that anyone has any intention on stopping any of the devastation. So So
anyways. Where do we go, Christy? Where
Okay,
I
so
want to get. I want to
I
save
got
this.
involved with
Okay.
the sex trafficking ring.
Yeah, now
And-
this sex trafficking ring. Tell me, give me an example of how it's working. Is this they're using the women? They're walking across the border here?
They were bringing the girls in vehicles to, and I'm just talking about one little segment of it. This is going on all over, and there's all different ways. I mean, where I live now, they fly them in from other parts of the world. When I was on the border, they just drive them in, and specifically from Mexico. They would make little deals with them or threaten them. If you ever say anything, we'll, kill your family back home. But so this particular ring that I was involved in, trying to expose, getting on video and interviewing and all of this stuff was, they were girls 13 years old and younger, brought in specifically to serve the migrants that were working in the tomato farms for Whole Foods, by the way, Party Homes, D.R. Horton, and other big, developer property owners. They were living in a canyon, and this was all, by the way, put together by these so-called human rights groups like Claudia Smith, the CRLA, CRLAF, ACORN, all of these types of people. They were just so humane that they'd bust the guys in or get them in somehow illegally, find a nice canyon on D.R. Horton or Party Homes properties near the tomato farms where they could slave for less than minimum wage, build little shanty towns. No running water, no toilets, no anything. That's their idea, I guess, of humanity. But they would bring in the girls on Wednesday and Saturday, twice a week, just to service this particular group. There were many of them going on in the canyons, and I don't know if you're familiar with Rancho Penasquitos and that part of California, but it's very, very dry. So there were fires and, all sorts of things going on, but it was obviously a very dangerous situation. People who lived there, they would just see people coming in and out of the bushes, behind their backyard, but nobody really, it was covered up pretty well. Nobody really knew exactly where they were going or where they were coming from until we went down there. So, I'm sure some of the residents did, but the residents were complaining for years and years. They'd have things stolen every day, their bicycles or, whatever else people could get away with, and law enforcement would ignore them for years because this had been going on in that canyon for over 20 years at the time. So I've been gone almost 4 years, so 25 years just that we know of that's been going on.
Okay, I'm talking with ChristieCzajkowski and about her experience, and this has a direct impact with the illegals. It's not. I've said many times, Christie, that if I lived down in Acapulco, one of the most beautiful areas in the world, and I couldn't get a job, I'd be walking up here with the illegals.
Absolutely. I don't blame them at all.
They are being exploited. They're being sent up here. They're being put into these neighborhoods, and they're being exploited the same way the blacks were after Vietnam when they flooded the heroin into San Francisco. Now,
absolutely.
Now, I want to get to you made a real good point that it's the governments and it's the opposition. The Simcoxes out there that are raising money out of people and not doing a damn thing. Hang on. I want to get on to the attack